The victim, Gonzalez, being Guatemalan. You are effing lucky to be here. This is native land.
Interesting stuff. What can I say? I mean, I'm
the guy that last week said that Ron Evans and the Native leadership, that they have to hold a gang summit and try to ratchet down some of the tensions, along with ethnic leaders. They can maybe get some of the other gang members to sit down at a summit. And it's about time. We haven't had one of those in the city for a good 22 or 23 years. But when I see something like this, where evidently this woman has no question in her mind about her son being in a gang, but harbors this deeply seated prejudice towards immigrants being involved in a gang. There's a kind of a disconnect on the one side, but it also shows a degree of tension between the ethnically based gangs.
Sure. Why would it be different than, say, the situation in Baltimore? Why would it be different than the situation in Los Angeles? I mean, the situations are. I mean, Marty, they're gangs, for God's sake. So this is what they fight about, right? These are the lines that are drawn. I mean, it's not all, how can I say it? It's personal a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm. Right? And getting more personal when you see, and that was the other thing is I guess Mr. Brodsky, it was attributed. He said, well, it just places, newspaper comment boards, etc. What's this guy doing with a knife? And anytime you pull out a knife, you start stabbing somebody. How does that get reduced to manslaughter when you know that stabbing somebody can result in them being murdered? And and I can see the point. Very skilled attorney, but there are a lot of people that aren't satisfied that this conviction and sentence is going to send the right message.
Well, I mean, that's fair enough. I mean, a great number of second-degree murder charges get pled down to manslaughter, right? We know that. That's just a fact. I can't, of course, speak for the Crown Attorney in the case. I just can't. I don't have the legal training or the background to be able to do that. But eventually, what you have to do, I would imagine, putting myself in a Crown Attorney's shoes, is that you got to look at the case you've got and make the best deal you can sometimes. That's just the way it is.
I agree with that.
Especially when you're dealing with gang issues and reluctant witnesses and fear of intimidation, because, I mean, it's all fine for these people to come into court and do their thing and have their day in court. What happens afterwards, after the court proceedings are over? Bad blood, more violence, potentially.
I can see that one of these days we got to get you back in the studio somehow.
Well,
we need some time. Now, I don't know. I just want to mention one other thing before we go to my last break and let you go, James. No leads in 3 different home invasions that we talked about on this program yesterday. The one on Fife, the one on Cathedral.
That is bizarre.
And the one in 1600 Alexander. However, I see that the one media outlet referring to 1600 Alexander today is the West End, as opposed to Brooklyn's or Weston.
Yep.
Okay, well, another map book we're going to have to send to a newsroom.
But at CBC, there's a huge map.
There is?
There is, believe it or not. And it's a huge map that details each and every...
So it clearly shows where the North End begins and ends.
It does.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
It really does. I can't say anybody looks at it, but I'm just kidding.
Now, speaking of similar things, no neighborhood attributed, but I think we can call Bannatyne and Avenue and Gertie Street the core area.
Okay.
Central. Centennial neighborhood. 41-year-old woman stabbed Friday night around 11 p.m. confronted by 2 females who were almost immediately apprehended. They're both. You haven't heard this one?
No. You know what? I have not.
You're going to be handling this one. I'll tell you why. 41-year-old woman. Took the knife away in the struggle. 2 passersby were also assaulted to try to help the woman. She was treated in hospital for non-life-threatening injuries. 2 have been charged in this. An 18-year-old woman. Are you ready? 13-year-old girl.
Nice.